0.06 of 1% is what separated Andrew Olschwager in 8th from Kyle Bogomez in 9th. 0.06%. BDM, we have history on Sundays and we have hard luck stories on Saturday nights. Wow.
You know, I mean, and Kyle was really looking for a finish that would allow him to continue his season. So this is, while it's a hard luck story that he came that close, I know Kyle is ultimately happy that he is going to be going to Vancouver, playing in another Pro Tour, trying to mount his case to get to gold or silver, to sort of string the next event together as he gets himself back into Pro Tour fighting shape here.
Right, this is someone who is a finalist from a Pro Tour in 2010 and just coming back to the game now after a few years absence.
But I got to look forward to tomorrow.
Oh.
And to me, everything, you know, we talked about blue-black control as being this storyline this entire weekend, and who better to carry that torch into Sunday than, I think you know what I'm going to say here, Shota Yasuoka. Yeah, I mean, he is the patron saint of control players. You know, he played a blue-black mirror at the end of day one. His opponent's like, well, you know, I got into Magic because I was watching Shota Yasuoka play control. Right? You know, this is his second top 8 of his career. He, of course, is a Pro Tour champion at Pro Tour Charleston, won the Player of the Year race that year.
2006.
2006. Has come so close so many times to getting another top 8. Really kind of like, you want to talk about hard luck. I mean, he's really just missed a lot of close calls.
Sure.
Got there emphatically this weekend.
Yes, that's certainly true. In order to win, he will need to beat 3 of 7 potential opponents. Let's walk you through the top 8. BDM, who's on number 1 seed?
Andre Strosky. Andre's now playing in the second Pro Tour top 8 of this season. He, you know, Pro Tour Cons of Tarkir, he has a top 8, and now he's here top 8 again, a member of Cabin Crew, playing kind of an offbeat deck from the other members of his team, playing Red-Green Devotion, but choosing to go with See the Unwritten, where some other members of his team did not do that.
So basically, as long as it's now, he's in the top 8 of the Pro Tour. Khans of Tarkir now, Dragons of Tarkir now. It's only when it's a go, Fate Reforged. Well, he's only 19.
Only 19
in
years.
the now.
Yeah, only 19 years old, 2 Pro Tour top 8s. His teammates say, you know what? He's great. He's going to get better. Matej Zadelkai said, you know, there's still, and he said, no insult intended at all. There's still a lot of room for improvement with him. So, very exciting to see what he does.
Number 2 is who?
Well, someone who's been playing Magic longer than Andre Strosky's been alive, and that's Adrian Sullivan. Adrian Sullivan, you know, he's at Gen Con when Magic is released. I mean, he's been playing since the earliest days. He's been involved with the game in all sorts of different facets. You know, he's been at the Magic Dojo. He's, you know, worked on different websites. He's been writing about Magic for forever, as long as almost anyone has been writing about Magic. And over the last couple of years has become a real, just one of the vanguards of the control decks in Standard over the last couple of years, whether it's white-blue with Quicken or blue-black with Perilous Wall.
Yeah. And it's no surprise to see him do well here because, first of all, he said he had a fantastic draft deck on day 1, and as soon as he saw his draft deck on day 1, he thought, yeah, I'm going to monster my way through this tournament. He really felt he was in great shape. But it wasn't misplaced confidence. This is someone who is in the top dozen or so in this 450-strong qualified field at Standard, our constructed format. No surprise that he's done well and is in his top 8. Number 3.
Number 3 is Martin Dang, no doubt crushed by missing out on winning Player of the Month for March in my column this week. Yes. That gave him the kerosene to, you know, light his fire here. No, I mean, Martin Dang obviously won Grand Prix Liverpool earlier this month. You know, wind at his back, a good team supporting him. This player from Denmark.
That's right, and it's his 10th, 11th Pro Tour now over a long, long period. I mean, dating back, you know, to the early 2000s. And he's one of those players, it's all very well for us to talk about, here's someone new who's just starting out and they've done fantastically. Here's someone who's been around forever at the forefront of the game. Well, Martin Dang's someone who gives you hope that actually you keep playing Magic, you keep learning, you keep just being around.
You don't have to be 19-year-old wunderkind Andre Strasky. You can actually figure out what you're doing and get better.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can, and slow and steady sometimes wins the race. This is a race he's won, and he has one of the best win percentages of anyone this season. Up over 80% at Grand Prix level. He decided to make it the same at Pro Tour level. Great job. Number 4.
Jason Chung. Jason's coming off a top 16 finish at Pro Tour Forged. Someone who kind of slipped under the radar, a little New Zealand player, was keeping up the New Zealand faithful, was staying up till 4:30 in the morning, waiting for the announcement that he was officially in the top 8. Wanted to see that handshake. Go to sleep. He's in.
They have
You'll
done.
see
You
him
don't
tomorrow.
need to talk to them. They're not there because they're stocking up on sleep for the top 8.
Fifth seed, Shota Yosoka.
Right. Who we've discussed.
We've discussed.
It's going to be interesting because sometimes things can get murky when you have someone great playing a particular deck, and sometimes the matchups are bad, and sometimes it's the only one of the deck, and sometimes it's unusual. Tomorrow, we could see Shota potentially, depending how the brackets fall. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, but there is a potential for a blue-black masterclass in Control. Just suddenly going to make me finding sleep difficult tonight.
And you know what? Shota Yosoka in the top 8 is going to make sleep difficult for all 7 of his potential competitors that he could face throughout tomorrow. Just one of the most respected and feared players in the game.
Who's number 6?
Marco Carmeluzzi, Italian player. Really had a fascinating conversation with him about the Italian Magic community. Again, someone who was inspired to go to the Pro Tour, talking to Mario Pascoli. Someone you remember from your Pro Tour debut.
That's right. In the booth, the finals of Pro Tour Kuala Lumpur up against John Finkel.
And he said he's in his game shop in Rome with all these players who've been to the Pro Tour, and they're like, "Oh, remember that time we were in Japan? And oh, do you remember that time we went to the United States?" And he's like, "I want to do that."
That sounds great.
And he was there when Samuel Estrade won in Philadelphia.
Right.
And it was a great moment because the moment Marco won his match against Eric Froelich and came out of the feature match area, the first person to come just like ramming into him with a giant bear hug was Samuela Estrade.
That's wonderful, yeah.
Yeah, it was really amazing, and I know it meant a lot to Marco for that to happen.
Right, 3 Grand Prix top 8s for Carmeluzzi as well. This is not a bolt from the blue by any stretch of the imagination. Great job. Number 7.
Thomas Hendricks.
Right.
So Thomas Hendricks, coming off of being a member of the Dutch national team at the World Magic Cup, worked with Frank Karsten, said, "Hey Frank, do you think I could come hang out with the cabin crew to prepare for this event?" Frank's like, "Yeah, sure, come on." And here he is. He's playing a different. We talked about the 2 versions of the red-green deck. He's playing a much more traditional rampy version, whereas Andre Strasky's playing a combo-y version that has See the Unwritten.
Right. Yes.
And interestingly, if you had to pick one based on what Hendricks said to me, he said, "My deck's much better against Control. Andre's is kind of weak to Control because of See the Unwritten." So, if one of those 2, the smart wager would be on Hendricks there.
Right, so by my reckoning we're up to 7, and that brings us to the edge of his seat.
The tightrope walker.
Right. We should give him that name.
Yes.
And now presenting to you in his first Final Four.
Without a net.
Without absolutely nothing but net. Andrew Olschwager, my lord. So, I like Carl Bogemus very much. I am so relieved for Andrew Olschwager that he is in this top 8 because with 2 rounds to go, he was on the brink. He was at 34 points, knowing that a win in either of the last 2 rounds would be safely in on 37. And he then took an intentional draw to go to 35 and an intentional draw to go to 36. And then sweat and sweat and sweat. And 0.06%
Unbelievable. Let me give a quick rundown on the top 16 here. Kyle Bogemies, Craig Wesco, Josh Utter-Layton, Sam Black, Paulo Vitor Damarosa, Brad Nelson, another strong standard performance for Brad Nelson,
of course,
and Andrea Mengucci and Seth Manfield. That's your top 16. Just a stacked top of the field.
0.06%, by the way.
Yeah.
I know you're going to write me otherwise. So, dust settles on 16 rounds of Swiss. There behind us, you see the top 8 coming into view. Let's see who we've got here. You've got Martin Dang over here on the left from Denmark. There's Jason Chung. There's Marshall Sutcliffe, not in his first Pro Tour top 8. Shota Yasuoka. There's Marco Camiluzzi. Thomas Hendricks in the striped shirt. Over the far end, Andrew Olschwager. And then at this end, number 2 seed, Adrian Sullivan. And there, 19 years old, not a care in the world, and not a pair of trousers in the world, Andre Strasky.
Every other Pro Tour Strasky.
Exactly. In the here and now, he gets the job done. Let's see who does it tomorrow. Until we meet again, you'll see all the quarterfinals, one after the other, 2 semi-finals, one after the other, and then it's best 3 out of 5 for somebody to claim $40,000 and a slice of Magic history. Don't you dare miss it, from New Zealand to Brussels and wherever around the world you are. Thanks for being with us here. On behalf of everyone at Wizards of the Coast, Brian David Marshall and Rich Hagan saying bye.